Okay,
Hello,
got it.
we got it. Um, Hello
There you
everyone.
go.
Today we're joined with Victoria, and Victoria first was on the podcast, quite close to when we started the podcast in 2020.
Yeah.
And Victoria reached out quite recently and w wanted to come on again, and we thought we'd do a different episode where we're not sure. We could say we are sharing our journeys, but today's more of I guess, a history episode around IBD, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis. So yeah, and Victoria has got some notes from to share with us as well. So, Victoria, would you mind doing a brief introduction of yourself?
Well, thank you for having me, Mason. This is so awesome. I'm really glad to be back. I did take kind of a break from Instagram and everything. I had a lot of things I was going through with the Crohn's disease. I think our first interview was in 2020, and then our second interview was in 2021 when I had surgery, and you very much honored me by having that during Ostomy Awareness Month, and to kick that off. So that was cool. So I guess a little bit about myself. I'm 71, and I first started, I've probably been suffering from Crohn's disease all my life, but when I was 12, I had my, well, when I was 11, I had my first surgery for hernias, but when I was 12, I had my first surgery that really started the Crohn's disease happening. And that was a hemorrhoid operation, and it never healed. And within 3 years, this was in the end of the 1960s there. 1966 is when I first started getting sick. And I can tell you the treatment then was, from a personal view, was a lot different than it is now. So I'll tell you the history about that a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had several surgeries. I've almost died from Crohn's disease 3 times, and I just keep going. So, keep trying to find solutions, and ways to go to keep living my life a full life.
Yeah.
So, just a little bit about me.
Yeah, and you're doing really well, because like you're always keeping busy, doing like traveling to different places, so you do well.
Yeah, it took me, I have kind of a long history. It's kind of involved, but just to make it short a little bit, I did have a revision. I had an ostomy for 15 years, and then I had a revision. A reversal, and so I didn't have an ostomy for about 30 years, and then I got another one in 2019. And in 2021, when I had surgery, that was because that surgery had gone south. It'd be too involved to explain it all, but that I needed surgery. And because it was COVID, I had to wait like it took them a really long time to diagnose. I had to wait like 8 months to just have surgery. And so I finally did have the surgery. And unfortunately, I still had complications. So what I'm saying now is that I've just gotten on my feet. And this year, you're right, I am doing so much better. I've been able to travel. I have been writing my book for 3 years, and I now have an opportunity to collaborate with my uncle, who's writing his 3rd book. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about my life and doing well, and so.
Yeah, it's good that you're doing your own book, because I know that takes time to do
It
that.
does.
Yeah.
What a process.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, yeah. it's quite a process, but
Yeah, I guess it depends on how many years worth of stuff do you want to put in there.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and 71 years old here, so that's a lot of stuff. And but there's a point to it, there's a lot of different things that I can share that I will share that I am sharing that I hope will help other people,
Yeah,
so
that
that'll
that is
be good.
that is the best thing about it. Just help
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
You sure do that, man. It's your podcast has sure taken off, and you've just done awesome things with it since 220.
Yeah.
It's just really great.
I
Really
didn't
great to see.
I didn't think I'd continue it after 2020. I thought it's just gonna be throughout the lockdowns maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was gonna be. I never heard of a podcast before creating it.
Right.
It was all new to
And all
me.
of a sudden, here you doing it.
Yeah, still doing it now. But in the new year, I will be having a little break for a few months. 'Cause I've had a breaks. Like if I've gone
Yeah.
on holiday for a week or something, like,
Mhm.
but the podcast has always been like, I guess, rolling new episodes, like maybe every week. So there'll be a little bit of a
College now, I think, right?
yeah.
Right. So that takes a lot of your time too. And you're very involved with a couple of different foundations. So yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
I think the last episode may be a Christmas one this year. Potentially I might do one after Christmas, but at the moment, after the Christmas episode's already recorded. It's like a special Christmas episode that got recorded in September.
oh
Um,
wow.
um, because I didn't do this originally. I, I just did series. So the one you was in was probably series 1. It might have been series 2. But after 2020, I had to look at it all and I thought, hang on a minute, me doing series is going to be, it's all right, but I wanted to be a bit different. So like what I do now, I'll do maybe the occasional odd episode, but it's not particular of a series. But so say I'll make different series about different topics. So
Oh,
you might have one about mental health. You might have one about Crohn's. Seasonal episodes like Christmas or an Easter episode. Not it might not be related around it, but it might just get released at that certain time of year. But yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah. It
good.
makes it interesting that way. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
But
And all the different people, wow, so many stories.
yeah, there's so many people.
Yeah.
Um, I,
Yeah.
I I lost count
It's
now.
it's an awful, it's a terrible, terrible disease. And the fact that we have each other and, have this relationship, with the whole community, we understand each other, it's really great to have that support.
Yeah,
I didn't have that in the first 15 years. I thought I was like the only one on the planet, that had an ostomy,
yeah,
I went through pregnancies. I did really well, but, uh, you know, um, it's different now. And I love how everybody's out there loving it, loving on each other.
yeah. I think it's really good how everyone raises their awareness of the Crohn's and the IBD and shares their story because like you, I was I didn't know about Crohn's or I I didn't know I I thought I was the only one when I got told and
Right,
because they told me it's rare and not many people have it, so I thought,
right.
am I one in a million of people in the world that's got this disease? Because there are diseases
Yeah,
out there that are like that. Um,
yeah.
and then now it's actually very more common, I think, now than probably with the pair of us where we got diagnosed. It's
Yeah,
it's only in the recent years that it's become more well known.
true. Yeah, I'd have to look. It'd be interesting to look at the statistics of like how many people have ostomy as opposed to like when I had mine in 1969. That would be interesting. I'll have to see if I can find that out. But
Yeah,
yeah, it definitely has increased. And
yeah.
yeah.
Is that when you was diagnosed in 1969?
Well, no, actually, yes, I was diagnosed with Crohn's in 1969, and that's when I had my ostomy. But I got sick when I was 12, and I was sick. I was in and out of hospitals. I never was, like never well from the time I was 12 till I was 16. By the time I was 16, I almost died, because my whole intestine was completely gone. And so but it took a specialist to diagnose Crohn's at that time. They didn't recognize it. And they tried like so many different treatments. They did try like sulfazine, I think it's called. That's one of the drugs that they mainly tried for like 70 years. Sulfa drugs. In the 1950s is when they started that. But yeah, so they put me on that then. But
Yeah,
the drugs have changed through the years so much.
yeah. They're always making new ones.
Yeah,
Right.
I tried you're on the infusions, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore. I had a
Oh,
reaction to
good.
it. I had a reaction after a year
Right.
when I was on them, and then I'm now on Humira. I've been on Humira ever since, so I take that every 2 weeks.
And
At
that
home.
is not an injection or an
It,
infusion?
it is an injection, but it's not an infusion, so it's
Oh, I
just
see.
it's something you can inject yourself at home,
Hmm.
so you don't have to go to hospital for it.
Right. I had the last thing I took was Remicade in the 1990. And after that, they wanted me to go on Stelara in 2018, but I declined because, as you know, I used cannabis for my Crohn's. And that kept me very well for years. The only reason I got so sick in 2019 is because I couldn't have cannabis for 10 years because I was living in Hawaii, and I couldn't do that. And so I ended up, that's how I ended up getting so sick, but, and having my second ileostomy. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I like Remicade, and that was because, and Sulfadine and and some of the other drugs too, I just had bad side effects. Like the early, like didn't work, had really bad side effects instead. So I guess that's what happened to you, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I had a bad reaction. I think it was the antibodies, but like when you have an infusion, you have the loading doses. That takes about 15 people, which is crazy. Like 15 minutes, not 50, I think I said 15 people, but so
Yeah.
um, so it takes about 15 minutes and not long, but when that's just finished, I struggled. I felt like the cannula was gonna pop out. I felt dizzy. I felt
Mm.
and I needed oxygen to help to breathe. So loads of nurses come crawling
Wow.
over to my area, and then
Oh,
um
that's desperate when you have a breathing reaction.
yeah, and it it was my 10th one, I think, and I thought going into it, it's 10th one lucky, and it's not. It's 10th one unlucky, but it worked. It actually the reaction did it at a perfect time, because the COVID was just around the corner, maybe a year afterwards, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And I was settled down on the Humira, which I was actually advised to take first, but I didn't want to do that because I was new to all this, and I would rather be in the hospital, rather than at home. But yeah, so I straight away, I did actually finish that infusion, and they just did it really slowly because each time you can go up faster. Every time you get used to it. So I was on Humira. I had a meeting, I think, with my consultant a couple of days or a week or two later, and then couldn't stay on that infusion anymore. So I've been on Humira. There's been a few funny stuff happens when the injection may not go into the leg. It may just not go in it sometimes, but
Hmm.
yeah, I've had good days, bad days. But I think next year I'm gonna have a colonoscopy to see what the inflammation is like, and if I need to continue on Humira or not. So I'll be doing that.
Right. Um, yeah, that's. I guess I don't know a lot about them anymore, but I think sometimes you have to switch ones, I see different people taking different one, taking one for a while and then taking a different one. So I guess that's the course. I guess they work differently. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess there's all these different ones out there for people to try,
Yeah.
but in an ideal
So you
world,
haven't been on Stellara?
no, I've just been on
No.
them too.
Yeah.
I take isofioprin, I take the same stuff I was on anyway, like vitamin D, B12, which helps with fatigue, and all that. So I've just been on that really. So I would like not to be on it because it makes me in a compromise and vulnerable and stuff like that. So
Right.
I hope one day
Yeah.
information goes down and I can not be on.
Yeah. I was glad not to be on it during COVID. And I didn't get COVID and I didn't get the injection. So the Lord just took care of me. But I was wondering, how old were you when you started? Because you're a pretty young man still.
Well, when I was diagnosed, you mean?
Yes.
I was um it was shortly after my birthday. I remember it very well. I went go-karting for my birthday. And then I went to a friend's birthday party in October of 2017. Which would have made me 17. I was 16, turned 17. So I
Right.
I was 17, and it was the last year of school.
Wow. Wow. So we were the same age about, so that's interesting. So yeah, we can relate on that level, huh?
Yeah, and now I am 22.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
tw-
And wow, you've made a lot of accomplishments. That's awesome.
yeah. Since then I've jumped out of a plane. I have. I did a skydive for my 21st birthday last year, so that
Right
was fun.
on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've never done that before. That sounds cool.
I mean, I was so tired afterwards though. I had to have a sleep.
Tired? You were
Yeah.
tired afterwards?
Yeah.
Really? It's tiring?
Um, yeah. People I did it with weren't tired. I guess because I was holding on for dear life and I was very anxious beforehand. And, um,
Yeah, it'd be quite an experience, I'm sure.
yeah. Yeah, and you get really hungry afterwards as well. You you need stuff to eat. Uh, yeah.
Huh.
Um,
Wow.
but that was good fun. I think I
That
did that
sounds
for a
cool.
charity called Rare Diseases. So I didn't really have to pay for it. It came out of the money I accumulated. So most of it went to
Neat.
the rare diseases. I would normally do it for like Crohn's and Colitis UK, but 'cause I've done a lot for them in the past. I'd rather do it for something else
Mhm.
this time. But yeah, I got vouchers if I wanted to do it again. I wouldn't do it anytime soon, but because it's a one in a lifetime kind of thing. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was good. It was good. I
cool,
was first out the plane, but it was good.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Um. But so you were 17 as well when you was diagnosed.
Well, I was 16 when when I finally did have my surgery. So yeah, we were at the same age, It's,
Yeah.
when I had my ileostomy, I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had surgery once getting diagnosed with Crohn's. Um.
Oh,
No, I never had surgery.
good. That's awesome. I'm so glad to
Mm.
hear that.
Yeah.
I've had many. I've had, so they used to think that they could like remove sections of the disease. And so that happened to me. And then they found that by cutting on the colon, usually disease forms where they cut. So that didn't work so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I've kind of, like at times I feel like I'm a test person or something. A lab, I don't want to say it, but yeah, lab got me in a lab. But
Yeah. Yeah. It is annoying when that stuff happens. Um.
yeah,
I kind of
yeah.
I kind of consider myself lucky now having surgery because it seems everyone does. Well, most people do with Crohn's and IBD.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had
Well, I
surgery.
don't know if I don't, yeah, that would be another interesting statistic because like not everyone's, I think we suffer in different degree. Some people seem from all the stories I've heard, we all have definitely have things in common. But some people are like, have it worse or something, or are I mean, they didn't think I would live past my 20s, so because the
Yeah,
disease was advancing so quickly. It was just traveling right up my colon. So,
yeah,
um,
hmm
but yeah, I'm so glad to hear that you haven't had surgery. So
yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
That's
yeah. You've done well though. Prove everyone wrong. If it putting 50 years on 20, so
good.
you've done well there. But the only surgery I've had is when I was younger. I had to take my tonsils out because I have asthma um, and it was impacting too much. And that's the only surgery I've had, and I remember it very well. Well, I don't remember being on the table or anything, of course,
Yes.
but yeah, the only thing I can say about surgery, it feels like you go in and 5 minutes later you're out. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like you might be down there for 10 hours or something. But
Yeah.
it don't feel like it. It just feels like you've gone to sleep and you just woke up straight away.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
Except
it
that
feels.
when you wake up, you feel like you were hit with a truck.
Yeah, very tired. But yeah, I think I went to London for that. I went to
At,
London.
um, to London with that one. That they have different hospitals there, or
Well, this one was specialised to
yeah,
it's good. I think it's called Great Ormond Street Hospital, and I got
pediatric surgery. Yeah.
yeah, I got a teddy bear. Um,
Yeah.
well, a lot of people actually go there to get diagnoses of things as well. I think I've heard people go there to get diagnosed with autism or other stuff. But yeah, I haven't been there for a long time. But yeah, I've never had the nearest you get to me from complications is maybe blood in the stool sometimes or stuff like that. I can eat food. I can eat. I just be careful. Maybe I don't have caffeine, so I do quite good in that department. I don't have any set diet because I don't need
That's
to.
good. That's, yeah, me either. I mean, I have to right now, I have to watch fiber, but that's just because I have a hernia, and there's also something going on to where if I have too much fiber, it's very painful. So
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out what's going on, but
Yeah, it's good. It's good you're doing all right though now.
yeah. Yeah, I don't have, yeah, I do dairy. I mean, I don't, I can't think of anything that I don't, I mean, I have certain dislikes, but I don't have any restrictions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Me.
guess, yeah. Um, yeah, I was going to say pretty much maybe I should share a few of the facts, and some people might be watching this wanting to hear the history of Crohn's or whatever. I don't have a lot here, but enough. That's kind of interesting. So like I was surprised, like I said, that the first report was like in 1793. I was really surprised at that. And then but in 1907, they did the first what I would an endoscopic,
And
like a
and the scopus, we get it out.
yeah. Can you?
Yeah.
I know I can't say that. I always get
Yeah.
messed up.
I always say,
Um,
yeah, like camera down the bum or up the bum.
yeah, right.
Oh.
And that was so that was in 1907. I was surprised at that too. But they used it was a electrically illuminated, thing. I know that when they did my first colonoscopies, they were like totally different than they do now. They were like it was like a rod thing that was like 10 inches long. It was like this, I don't know, it was weird. It was a lot bigger, let's put it that way, than the little camera that they use nowadays. So
Yeah.
and they didn't usually, at first they didn't use anesthetic, and yeah, they've come a long ways when it comes to doing colonoscopies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially as a kid in the going through all that was pretty hard.
yeah,
But
it's those
they
sort
had,
of
in fact,
procedures are
the
annoying.
way they finally were able to diagnose the Crohn's was to put me out, like put me to sleep
Hmm.
and examine me. And then when he did that, then he could actually identify that the ulcers were Crohn's disease and not just ulcerative colitis. So
Yeah.
but another interesting thing, I think you mentioned something about mental health a minute ago. That's so involved, with all of this. And one interesting thing that, they had me go to a psychiatrist. So this is in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And they had me go to a psychiatrist. They kept always asking me, what are you bothered by something? They didn't, I don't remember them using the word stress. It's kind of a new word, but they use, are you upset? Or, do you have any problems, whatever. And so finally they ended up sending me to a psychiatrist, which my mom was real domineering and very verbally abusive. And so all the psychiatrist told me was that was my problem, which I already knew because my stomach would hurt every time my mom would open her mouth. So, but because the gut brain relationship is, now everybody's super aware of it, but back then, it looks like sounded like the doctors might have been trying to see or getting a handle on that also, since they, had a clue enough to send me to that, so, but nowadays, I don't, I'm not sure. in the UK, do you know when someone goes or finds out if when they're diagnosed with UC or Crohn's, are they directed to find therapy or mental health or mental health help or anything like that? Do you know?
I mean, I don't know now, but I know from my experience when I was diagnosed, like what would happen is you get told and then they say you can go home. You got given a leaflet for a dietitian or something, for what you can eat and what you can't.
Right.
It wasn't very good when I was diagnosed because
Right.
I'm not sure I said anything about mental health or anything like that. So it weren't very good back then, but I don't know. They should have improved now because that's
Hopefully.
about 6-7 years ago.
I mean, yeah, because for one thing, I don't know. I mean, it isn't always, everybody's different. So the dietary thing is something to look at, but, definitely consider, but it's not everything, so it seems like when you first get diagnosis, they should tell you, seek a support group, even seek therapy if you think, if you have things that are reoccurring that, are, whatever, or just the fact that you have been diagnosed with a life-threatening disease is, to me, a really good reason to, send somebody to, to at least offer them that option, when they're diagnosed, makes sense to me. I would hope that they're doing that these days,
Yeah, because it's not like when I was diagnosed briefly, they tell you briefly what Crohn's is, but you're not really listening, I don't think, when they tell you you have something that can't be killed or anything like that. So it is tough, I think the hardest part of the disease is the start, getting diagnosed, that kind of period. Then
That's true.
it does get easier, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if it gets easy. Well, the disease definitely
yeah,
doesn't get easier, but at least you gain more knowledge, there's a saying, knowledge dispels fear. The more you learn, the more you can, deal with it and find solutions and, face what's going on with you, because it feels like, I mean, I'm always making dietary changes and stuff, different, wondering if this is why I don't feel well or that, you know what I mean? I don't know if you do the same thing, but,
yeah,
yeah, it's a constant
always,
thing.
yeah,
Stay
always
with me.
just trying new things,
Yeah.
try new foods, because we don't know what ones will affect us, but the thing is, I find say we can't eat something for a year, maybe a couple of years down the line, we might be okay with it.
Mhm.
Our
Right.
Crohn's might allow us to, but yeah, there's so much on top of that. It's not just about the toilet and going to your diet. It's about loads of different things. It's almost like
Yeah.
because we say history of Crohn's because it is history of Crohn's. Crohn's should be a lesson of all these facts that we got and yeah, like it's not. I don't think it's talked about enough, especially in schools and the work environment.
Right. Yeah.
Those kind of stuff.
I agree. I hate to, I don't mean to interrupt, but you're absolutely right. I mean, why people disregard tummy aches, or, those kind of things that you shouldn't. I mean, it's really important to find out what's going on. I mean, yeah. I would say especially now, I mean, the way the world is and how everything is pretty stressful for adults, the kids feel it, there's just a lot going on,
Yeah.
yeah, even I was noticing in my notes that, yeah, even in the 19 in 1947, they were looking at the cause being from like bacteria or enzymes, different things, they've always been trying to explore why, or, what's going on in there. But they did mention besides food, and that neuroses, or like, you're definitely mental health is really important, even back. So I'm saying like 1950, they were already saying that too. So I don't know. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, they did think that for years into the 1930s, they did think that it was psychosomatic, that it was. They leaned more to that being the cause than dietary or anything else, actually, for a while there. But there wasn't really any super controlled studies on it. It's just the doctors just started, that's how they started looking at it. And that's when they started talking about, that's when they made the discovery about autoimmunity and started looking into the autoimmune system and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. They started trying different drugs, sizolpidine, steroids was tried in the 50s. I don't know if they use steroids a lot over there in the UK also.
Yeah, steroids is a massive one. Like if people get in a flare really bad and nothing's working, you go on steroids. I've been on steroids. You've probably been on steroids, because we don't like to go on steroids. It's one of those drugs that we don't like. But I went at that time that I was in so much pain, and I was put on steroids, and I guess it helped. I looked bigger, but because I lost a load of weight. But yeah, we use steroids, and not just for Crohn's as well. There's so many other things that you can use that for.
Yeah, there is, but they're so. I actually basically refuse to take them. Because I've had such bad experiences on them. It's like a trade-off. Yeah, you're doing horrible, but you take these pills and they make you into a different person. I mean, it's like, for me anyway, I mean, it made me really aggressive and really, like short-tempered and irritated, and that's like that's not me, and plus you want to eat everything in sight, it's just kind of, I don't know, they're really I don't know what they do to you, but I don't like them. Yeah, but yeah, so steroids, but like you say, so I mean, yeah, everybody's probably taking them, and
yeah,
it's it is a go-to for I think yeah, infusions kind of came after that, and now I guess basically the big thing now is they're looking into like genetic response therapies, and also looking into like just the micro biome, more looking into the fungi and the bacteria and just stuff in the intestines to see if maybe they can find something out there. So maybe they're on the right track there. I don't know. I don't like the whole infusion thing that lowers your immune system, because our immune system is already wacko. That's part of the Crohn's, and I don't think it's part of the UC also. So why mess with that? I don't know.
it's annoying, isn't it, when it messes with the immune system, because you catch stuff and you can get other stuff as well. So we find it's not just Crohn's that we have. We might have something else that we may be unaware of, or that we may have. But yeah,
that's so true.
That is the worst thing.
Yeah, because all the symptoms, is they can, relate to other things, and That's why all the testing and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But it's annoying. Well, it's very annoying.
Yeah, it's it is a dreadful disease, and it's for me, it is really hard on you mentally, especially like if you have a problem that, like within, you already have a problem with the disease, right? But if you have a problem within that, like a complication, then it's just like, for me anyway, I guess I don't know, I'm pretty complicated, I guess, but yeah, still trying to figure out, how seems like, medical science has made so many advances, and they are really doing great, but it also seems like a lot of stuff's archaic, it's like, why can't they why can't you figure this out, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's very annoying, isn't it? When all this stuff
Yeah.
happens, stuff that we don't expect. Really.
But that you have to like for me, it's a lot about attitude, about keeping the right attitude, about because this thing can suck you right down if you let it. But you just,
Yeah, it
I think it
can.
makes you tougher. I think it actually makes us tougher people, actually. Because when you have to overcome and overcome and overcome, it makes you, either it drags you completely down, or you get stronger. You
Yeah.
just go, okay, no, I can do this. I did it before. I can do it again, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like a yo-yo, isn't it? Like it goes up, goes down.
Yo-yo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like going around in circles. Like
yeah.
you never know what tomorrow's gonna happen. If suddenly something's gonna happen, you think, why is this happening? But yes, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The life of crime.
Yeah. And it doesn't do a whole lot of good to spin your wheels going, why either? I mean, why is this happening anyway? I mean, it's okay to figure out solutions to problems, but, just, yeah.
Yeah.
Some things we can't answer,
Fortunately not.
like what, why do I have this and somebody else doesn't? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy
Yeah.
how, like, obviously someone has developed somehow in our body that's
Yeah.
caused this for some reason. We don't know.
Uh-huh. Right.
There's no age. Like people can get diagnosed older, but we say this, but I think everyone's diagnosed probably maybe when we was diagnosed at 17. But it's just people haven't noticed it, maybe. Maybe for some people it takes longer to develop as a painful thing than some people. So I think when the pain comes, that's where you feel something's wrong.
Right.
Because if we don't get any pain, and we have Crohn's, we're not going to think anything of it. So I think
Yeah.
I think that's the age most of us get diagnosed, and I know some people can have it in the family, but you just don't know. We don't know the actual answer why we have it, but we would love to know. Whoever was the first person ever to get Crohn's, that must have been a crazy experience because, as we know, back then it wasn't all the resources, the medication, the stuff back then weren't what it's like today.
I just thought a good place to end would be, that's a good place to wind up, I guess,
Yeah.
that we have each other, we have this community, we can learn from each other, and, it's more than the history of, a disease. It's, it's, it's us, and it's how we care about one another and learn from each other. So Yeah.
So that's it. I think that's a really good way to end. Is there any other anything else that you want to say? Anything further? Maybe any advice? Maybe from your personal experience, how it goes up and down to to to, to an
Just
illness?
that you know, give yourself a break and, you know, remember that, it might be a, bad moment, but it doesn't mean it's a bad life or it's, it might even be a bad day, but you can get over it and, just, you've got it within you to be strong and you can do this,
You can do this. You can. Thank you, Victoria, for coming on again.
Thank you, Mason.
Yeah,
It was fun.
it was really fun. But
Yeah.
to anyone out there who's listening, watching, I think that's the first time when Victoria's been on that it's going to be video one go as a video as well. So that's pretty exciting. But to anyone watching and listening, we hope you can take something out of this. Maybe learn a few facts presented by Victoria, which she's done really well finding all that information. Because like it's all well and good sharing our own journeys, but it's always nice to know maybe the history when Crohn started, maybe, or all the way back long ago. But yeah, thank you again, Victoria, and I hope you have a nice rest of your
Thank
day.
you, Mason.
Thank
Have an
you.
awesome day. Yeah.